My dearest Wang, my sincerest apologies for leaving you with no toiletries. It's been 1,987 days since my last encounter with your horse. I fear that flailing my arms and smiling like an idiot, as you have seen on television, will not bring you closure. I have enclosed a single tampon wrapped in a bow as a memory of our fleeting affair. I hope this gift finds you in good health. Yours truly, Tim.
Tim Walz is, well, not able to answer simple questions about his relationship with China. Now, you may recall when Tim Walz was asked during the debate, hey, Alex, can I grab that clip? Tim Walz was asked during the debate about his connection with China. Oh boy, it was an awkward day. Tim Walz has regularly lied about being a China simp. Tim Walz went and worked in China. He taught in China. He's traveled to China at least 30 times. He's taken honorariums from the Chinese Communist government. Tim Walz apparently had like a secret girlfriend in China who was a Chinese Communist Party member. Tim Walz then lied about where he was during Tiananmen Square. Why would you lie about that? Tim Walz got married on the anniversary of Tiananmen Square? What the hell's wrong with you? That's pretty sick. So you got married on a date that you knew you wanted to remember, and that was the date where the Communist Party slaughtered people that were protesting in favor of democracy, slaughtered a bunch of students. Tim Walz thought that was so great that he wanted to get married on that date. Then Tim Walz honeymooned in China. Tim Walz is super suspect. Well, now there is a investigation going on into old Timmy. Check this out. DHS employee warned colleagues that Walz's nomination feeds into China's efforts to influence D.C. This just breaking again at time of show. House Oversight Committee James Comer released internal DHS communications given to him by whistleblowers. Wow, here we go. First on Fox News. An official with the Department of Homeland Security told colleagues that Vice President Kamala Harris's decision to name Governor Tim Walz as a running mate feeds into activities for the Communist Party were conducting with him at a local government, warning that Beijing could target him to exert influence on U.S. policy. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer launched an investigation in August into Walz's alleged long-standing ties with the Communist Chinese Party. Last month, Comer subpoenaed DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas for records relating to those in connection with a whistleblower, notified the committee of the existence of non-classified Teams chats among DHS employees, saying effectively that Tim Walz is a CCP asset, is a communist agent. You want to talk about real foreign interference? Here it is. You can see here the article, the message itself. Walz got the VP. You have no idea how this feeds into what the People's Republic of China have been doing here with him and local government. It's seriously a line of intel. Target someone who is perceived that they can get to DC. Did Kamala Harris select Tim Walz? It's worth asking. Did Kamala Harris select Tim Walz in order to curry favor with the Communist Party of China, so that they could potentially existentially help her get elected? Where the hell are all these donations coming from in Act Blue? We know this is massive fraud. Someone is funneling all this money through Act Blue. Who is it? Is it a foreign power? They're funneling money because Act Blue is such a cesspool. All these people have all these different donations. They donated thousands of times. These poor people living in these rent-controlled apartments are donating millions of dollars to Democrats. Where's the money coming from? They don't even know what's happening. You go interview these people, like, well, who did what? Ladies and gentlemen, something really nefarious is up. The committee is releasing the above message as an example of the communications DHS possession. DHS officials expressed concern about the Communist Party targeting politicians with their influence operations on state levels. Specifically concerns about the Communist Party's influence operation with Governor Walz, Comer explains. Goodness gracious. You can see here Comer's entire report saying that, Tim Walz is effectively a Communist Party simp and may actually be a foreign intel asset. Bro, that's what's at stake. You want to know why they call us deplorables and garbage? Nazis and fascists? Maybe because they're working for foreign nations that hate America and hate us. They know that red-blooded, gun-owning Americans who are patriots, who love their country, is actually the biggest existential enemy of China. And the only way to take this country over is to subvert our electoral system from the inside. So you have to have somebody who's literally in bed with the Communist Party. And Tim Walz has literally been in bed with a communist. Oh, yeah. Apparently, Kamala Harris's VP choice, Tim Walz, had a secret fling with the daughter of a top Chinese communist official. We've covered this. During his stint in China. Get a load of this. So Tim Walz apparently wanged Jenna Wang, who's 59, who apparently was seduced by him when he was a teacher in China. Here's what Jenna Wang has to say about Tim Walz. You can see the photos of her here. Now she's talking to the press. Tim was passionate and very romantic. I can still remember dancing with him to our favorite song. It's amazing that she survived Dances with Tim Walz. Because Dances with Tim Walz, like, that's Dance with Tim Walz. Okay, so we're lucky that Jenna Wang survived the wanging by Tim Walz. But here we go. First, the fact that we couldn't touch or kiss in public made it all the more exciting and intense when we were finally alone. I don't really want to think about that, to be quite honest with you. Think about those inflatable arm wavy tube men outside of your local used car dealership. Think about them making love. No, I will not. We are deeply in love, and I wanted to marry him and start a family. When it didn't happen, I felt unhappy and sad. Tim's behavior was very selfish. She goes on to say that she's suicidal because of Tim Walz. Okay, well, Tim Walz, we've said for a long time that Tim Walz is in bed with the Communist Party of China. This is not normal behavior to go to China 30 times, to honeymoon in China, to get married on an anniversary of human carnage and slaughter in China. But now we find out that Tim Walz was literally sleeping with the enemy. Okay, got it. Maybe this is why Tim Walz was so awkward on stage during the vice presidential debate here. Do we have this as a, can you just play the last couple seconds can you play the last couple of seconds of this? You could tell, like, when I watched this clip happen live, I said, wow, this is really strange. His behavior is very odd. And it reminds you of like somebody who has something to hide, right? It reminds you of somebody who has something that they're trying to hide. Is it play beside Klein or throw to? Okay. So here we go. Here's Tim Walz is caught in a lie about China. He's called on it. He's lying about where he was during Tiananmen Square massacre. And then he responds like this.
Or whether it was being a good soldier or it was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this is I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
You know, like, you're a human being, right? You know this when you're caught in a lie. Where were you last night? Your wife says. Try responding like that to where were you last night to your wife. Try it. Like, it's clear when someone's lying. It's clear when someone's ashamed of what they were doing. And it's clear when somebody is sleeping with the enemy. We call her communist Kamala, but here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe this is why Kamala Harris picked Tim Walz, right? Like, maybe this is why. Kamala knew that she needed every conceivable advantage, and maybe it's Kamala who's the foreign asset, right? As Tim Walz is getting foreign ass set. I don't know. Here's the reporting.
Intensifying their efforts. Yeah, so House Republicans are intensifying their efforts to investigate the Democrat vice presidential nominee and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's alleged ties to China. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer releasing a portion of DHS internal communications it received from a whistleblower discussing China's alleged activities with Walz. The message was sent by a DHS employee to colleagues on Microsoft Teams saying, quote, Walz got the VP. You have no idea how this feeds into what the PRC, or the People's Republic of China has been doing here with him and local government. It's seriously a line of the intel targets someone who is perceived they can get to D.C. Now, Comer, in a letter to DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, says, quote, the committee's releasing the above message as an example of the communications within DHS's possession in which DHS officials express concern about the CCP targeting politicians and their influence operations at the state and local levels. Comer says specifically their concerns about China's influence operations as they relate to Governor Walz. Now, last month, Comer subpoenaed Mayorkas for records relating to those alleged connections after the whistleblower notified him of those messages. Comer is now accusing the Department of Homeland Security of stonewalling the subpoena. He says, quote, DHS did not produce responsive documents before the subpoena's due date and subsequently neglected to produce a single responsive document. The House Oversight and Accountability Committee says Walz has traveled to China an estimated 30 times. And in the 1990s, Walz organized a trip to China for his high school students, a trip which was reportedly paid for by the Chinese government.
Sometimes it's just so obvious, the choice. You just have to you just have to thank God. And now is that time. We have 5 days before Election Day. Election Day, next Tuesday. We can just be thankful that the choice is this clear and that these scumbags are being undone by their own words and actions, that it's all falling apart. It's an incredible moment to be alive. It's energy and the remaking of the political landscape that you only see once in a lifetime. Savor it, soak it up, do everything you possibly can. We certainly will.